As I promised you, for the first lesson, it's gonna be 5 minutes video for each as a maximum time. And what we're gonna cover in this part is only lesson one, which is in unit one with title and fires. As you can notice here in the picture, in the page, there are three divisions of the page. It goes with A, B, and C. Now, part A is all about a discussion, and part C is a listening part. Part B is the whole listening part, and part C is more of discussion about general questions. Now, the first discussion is different from the last one in terms of the first one is one where you can make your input freely in the classroom, and you can pretty much say a lot in your mind, no matter what the idea is all about, even though it's a bit irrelevant. But in C, as you can see, there are 5 questions that are more specific and more likely depends on what you listen to in part B and what you discuss in part A. So first one goes, look at the telephone numbers on the right, then answer the questions below. I don't know if I should make this kind of zooming for you. Oops. So sorry. Now, here's how it works. It goes for the first part. There is the telephone number on the right. There is 998 for the fires and 997 for an ambulance. There is a traffic accident number for 993 and a police number of 999. Now, everyone knows 911, which is pretty much the American emergency line. I'm not so sure where other countries use, but this kind of emergency number that whenever you get into any accident or anything that you don't know how to behave accordingly, then you would just call them out. And even if you normally, if you call, for example, the 999 number and you need an ambulance, they will still redirect you to it. That's what usually happens because they're connected together. Now, the first question goes, where does this page come from? This page, if you want to know about the numbers, and since there are pictures, it's absolutely not the Yellow Pages directory. It's more of an advertisement, probably, or some kind of introductory brochure where you need to know this kind of information. It's normally distributed by government agencies. I haven't seen this kind of page before, to be honest, except in this book, but still we'll take it for granted to go for the discussion. So if you want to answer a question goes, where does this page come from? You have 2 ways to answer it. You can say, I have seen this page in the newspaper, and you can say, I have seen, and use a completely different verb, because the verb here goes come from. Or you can just use the same verb from the question and goes, where does this page come from? You say, it is on the page. Comes from Yellow Pages directory, or it comes from the newspaper. So focus on the form of the answer that you're using, which you can use the question form with. 2, what is an emergency? Well, if you want to define an emergency, there's so much to talk about in this topic. Emergency is anything surprising normally, something that you might need help with, or you get confused about, or you don't know how it feels like, and it doesn't really happen in a as of an expectation. It just happens. It doesn't knock your door and say, hey, I'm an emergency coming to you. It can happen on a small level, like a lower level, somewhere around your house, or maybe your next door neighbor at school, or probably you can find an emergency on a national level, like something relevant to a war happening in your country, God forbid. So what is an emergency? You can say an emergency is a surprising action or a surprising happening that does not knock on my door, or whatever definition you want to know. What matters the most here is that you start your answer, it is, and then you start defining, or you can say an emergency is, and make sure you use an in according, with what the word is. Now, number 3, can you give some examples of emergencies? Yes, absolutely. There are so many emergencies. You can get fire is an emergency. There is lowering your sugar blood level, or there's a high pressure of blood, or there's an emergency of police tracking of some criminals. There was an emergency of a traffic accident, as you can see here in the picture. There's so many examples, but if you want to answer this question, which is what matters the most here goes, can you give some examples of emergencies? You can say, yes, I can, but you don't have to answer the rest of it. Normally, yes, you do, because you're in a test or you want to explain more. But in real life, if somebody asks you, like, can you give some example? Yeah, I can. Unless they ask you more, don't go for it. Can you give some examples of emergencies? Yes, I can. Yes, emergencies exist with police tracking of criminals, with traffic accidents, in fires in the building, and regarding health issues. Now, number 4, which vehicle on the page is a fire engine? Well, the one of fire engine is, as you can see, this one. Now, if I want to move on to section B, which actually we can't work on here because it's a listening part, but I can still, help you with kind of reading the questions and kind of discuss it, or just give a quick answer, which we can use as a prompt. Now, a boy is talking to a telephone operator when he's calling, and try to answer these questions below as you listen to their conversation. Well, there is a conversation here, if you can expect, like a telephone operator and a boy, and we know that the topic is about fire, so apparently it's a boy calling in an emergency, and he's talking to the telephone operator about it. He needs help, he's calling for help. So if you want to predict that, which is what you're supposed to do, like we're going to go for question number 1. What emergency service does the boy want? Well, apparently he might be calling a fire emergency, or because he wants an ambulance. Probably he doesn't want the police to come over, but it's still possible too. What's the boy's name? You can call him whatever you want. You can say the boy's name is, so pay attention to the form of the question. Number 3, where's the emergency? You can say the emergency is in the boy's house, or the emergency is in the street. Just use the form the emergency is. Now, number 4, complete the sentence form through conversation, like don't waste. You could say like don't waste time, don't waste anything. We'll go to that. You can just fill in the form the way you want it. Number 5, who is trapped inside the building? Now, trapped means that you're stuck somewhere, that there is a place where you're stuck in, and you can't go out of it. That's why you can see we said trap inside. Now, who is trapped inside? You can just say the boy. Now you can say the boy is trapped inside the building. Now notice where the kind of question goes, who is trapped inside the building? We're using the word who. It's a question word about a person, and usually if you want to answer it, just keep the sentence structure the same and only change the word who by saying, for example, the boy, and then say is trapped inside the building. So just keep it the same. That's the easiest type of questions. Now, let's move on to C. This last part. Finally, discuss these general questions about emergencies in English with your teacher. I know I'm not available as your teacher, and you must absolutely discuss it in the classroom, but you can pretty much talk about it to anybody. Call your friend now, take it as an excuse, you can just do that. Number 1, who deals with traffic accidents? Well, you can answer that in a different way, but what you really need to focus on is the form of the answer regarding the question. Who deals with traffic accidents? Again, we're using who as a question word, so you can keep the same sentence structure and just say, the police deals with traffic accidents. Number 2, who deals with fires? Again, that's a who. You can say, well, firefighters deal with fires. How do fires start? Well, how is a different question word, so we need a different structure to answer with. You can say, how do fires start? We're just going to say, fires start. Okay, now fires start with a match being slipped out with a cigarette. Fires start with a little thing that you don't pay attention to. Fires start mostly in the kitchen. Well, you can just give any possible option answer that makes sense. Just focus on the structure as well. Number 4, where is your nearest fire station? Now, this is a where question word, so you can say it is, and then you can answer it. Now, the nearest fire station is 50 kilometers from my house. That's what you can say. Or the nearest fire station is in the next in the second neighborhood, or this in the nearby neighborhood, or sorry, nearby neighboring block. The nearest fire station is like at the southern part of the city. You can just give any answer that makes sense. Just focus on the structure again. The nearest fire station is, and then you go. Number 5. What do you know about firemen? Well, here we go. What do you know about firemen? Not much, but let's say, what do you know about firemen? You say, firemen. That's what you're gonna start with because you're defining. You're not gonna care about the rest of the question words. Firemen are trained people or professional people who were trained to fight fires using certain utilities in response to certain calling or emergency situations with fire. So that's what we've been talking about the whole time. I wish you liked the lesson or you got benefit from it at least. Good luck with the next one.